Hi crafters! Well, I am back with the first tutorial for this pumpkin and spice folio. Only I'm going to change it up and I'm going to use a different paper collection because this collection from Prima is on back order currently, and I'd like to show you with some Christmas paper. That's what most people said that they would like to see it in. So I have a new collection that I'm going to be using, and that collection is available at Country Craft Creations. So you can get some of those papers there. It's called Farmhouse Christmas by Carta Bella. And one of the reasons why I wanted to use it was because of the buffalo check. And we've got the Christmas trees and snowflakes and this greenery. This greenery I love so much. And this, and then the ornaments, wood grain. Just going to do a quick flip through here so you can kind of see what some of this looks like. The other thing that I have with this collection is I have quite a bit of the ephemera and frames and tags, as well as the thing I'm really loving right now with Carta Bella is they have wonderful sticker books. And look at these cut-aparts are just amazing, aren't they? So even these 3x4s are so nice. I love how they put them together, and that paper is wonderful. So I'm not going to go through all of these because I think I did do a walkthrough of all these things that I had gotten. So frames and tags, ephemera, chipboard accents, the chipboard phrases. But this sticker book is amazing with all the different stickers, and especially like the buffalo check, and then look at some of those borders. So this will get a lot of use out of that as well. I will enjoy using that. I also am vacillating on using some of the 6x6 paper pad for some of the waterfalls. For matting them. I'm going to have to see how I go with that. But that's what we're going to be using, is the Farmhouse Christmas collection. And we are going to work with black artisan cardstock for the base. And then I'm going to be layering it with green. I wanted to do the red or the burgundy, but that paper has such a strong red and a strong burgundy in there, and they're kind of mixed together, or there's some papers with just burgundy. So what I decided to do was to bring in the artisan green cardstock, and then I can accent with some solid red or burgundy as we go through. So let's go ahead and get this together. Basically, the folio itself is made with the black artisan cardstock, and the height of the album is 9 inches. So you're going to cut 2 pieces of the paper that's at 9 inches by 12 inches. And it is easy as this. When you, in order to get the 2 pieces set, we're going to put our paper down, and we're going to score at 6.5 and score at 7.5, and then that'll make our 1-inch spine. On the other book that I did, and I talked to you about that in the video, it was a 3/4 inch spine, but I wanted to do a 1 inch because I think it'll give us a little bit more room with all of the double matting. So it's going to be a 1-inch spine. Then on the second piece of paper, this is going to be the inside flap because the cover is the 6.5. So this is going to be the one that fits inside here. So we're going to score that at 6 and at 7, because we want it to be at least a ½ inch shorter as it flips into our folio. All right, so then putting the two together. Now, I don't have to leave this much on this end, on either side, but I like to do that because of for the fact that it gives it more sturdiness on the back. So what I have done is I actually, because I want this centerpiece to match at 6.5, so that the front cover is 6.5, the middle section is 6.5, and this section, yes, this middle section is 6.5 as well. So I marked these, and what I wanted to do was, the reason why I marked them is because I wanted to know where I could go with my glue. So I'm going to glue on this half. You see there's the pencil line right here, and I'm going to start by gluing this side, so that by gluing this side, then I can turn it over and work on gluing the other side. Oh, of course. Should have checked that before I turned the camera on. Sorry about that. So this is going to set up our base for our folio. And as we mat it, it will get stronger. One of the things that I always like about doing tutorials and making it and then bringing you the tutorial is I can find things that I could always do better. And so thus being oops, I almost didn't get that. The 1-inch spine and matching this up just helps to do a little bit better on that next folio, and watch for the things that will make it look even better. Now, not too worried about this being a little bit off. We are 6.5, and this is all going to get matted. So then if we go on the back here, we're going to see, oh, we went complete, it was perfect match. I didn't expect that. Yay. So we have a perfect match on here. On both sides, they're completely glued down. And so the next step of what I'm going to be doing is we are going to mat our pages to get a little bit of sturdiness into this. So the other thing that we're going to do before we do the matting on the outside is we are going to also put our ribbon closure down. I put it on the second layer on the last book, but I noticed that it's pressing a little bit against the pattern paper. So I think I'm going to this time put it underneath our cardstock as well. So all of that happens on the outside. So let's start with the inside of our book. We are going to mat each one of these sections. So what you're going to need is the matting pieces. I'm doing these by a quarter inch, which gives you an yes, a quarter inch, so it gives you 1/8 of an inch away from your score lines. I usually do 1/8 of an inch, so the only thing is you'd have to adjust it to the 1/8 of an inch, otherwise there's nothing else different. But I wanted to show off a little bit more of the different colors of the papers. And the other thing is that what I was finding is when I was cutting for matting my pages, that sometimes I would get it right on, sometimes I wouldn't. And when I'm cutting 1/8 of an inch less on my pattern paper or the matting paper. It's just such a minimal amount of a difference that sometimes I just couldn't get it right. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to be a little bit more specific this time and see how this book works out by doing just 1/4 of an inch less. So what this is the middle piece here is 6.5 inches wide and 9 inches tall. So what I cut this matting at 6 1/4 by 8 3/4. And as you can see, there's just a small black gusset around, and that's what we're going to do for the rest of this book. We're going to try this out, and I can tell you that by my measuring and the cutting board that I'm using, it's all worked out very well. I decided to go back to another cutting board that I haven't used before, or I have used it, but I didn't like it because of this ruler. I would have to move it every time. But because I had some of the decorative paper wasn't matching up very well at the 1/8 inch, I thought that it might be better if I measured this out. So let's say my page is 6.5, I can put this down at 6.5, 6 1/4, and then I cut all my pages at one time, butting up against this ruler, and my pages are much more even. So going by the 1/4 inches with this just makes it a little bit easier. I can see the lines on here. I have a ruler that I can butt up against, and I'm hoping that I'll get to see a little bit clarity on my edges around my pages, meaning that they look a little bit cleaner. So this is by We Are Memory Keepers, and I'll be honest with you, I do not remember where I bought it. I could have gotten it on Amazon, but it's the We Are Memory Keeper. It's a wood grain one. It also has a light on here, and they talk about that as a big help. I don't find that it's necessarily that big of a help, but it cuts very nicely, and I'm really loving this this guide right now. And again, I've just started using this again to see how much I like it, and I'll let you know as I go how much more that I use it. So going back to matting all of this, you're going to need 4 pieces of the green in 6 1/4 by 8 3/4. And then you will need 2 pieces of the green cardstock in 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. So if you were matting this by with a 1/16 edge all the way around, or like 1/8 difference, you're matting then this piece of matting, because it would have been 6 by 9. You would then cut this to be 5 7/8 by 8 7/8. So you just reduce by 1/8. Because I'm doing 1/4 of an inch, I'm reducing all my cuts by 1/4 of an inch. If that doesn't make sense, I will try to explain it out again on another video, just to talk a little bit about that. But we're going to need 4 of these, because 2 of them are going to be on the outside, but I'm going to put those away for right now. And then I'm going to need 1 of these for the inside of here, and we'll put that away till we go to the outside. The other thing that you are going to need to cut is the matting for our 1-inch gussets. And so I cut each one of these strips at 3/4 of an inch wide and 8 3/4 long. And you're going to need 4 of those, 2 for the outside and 2 for the inside. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get this matting down, and then we're going to go ahead and get our ribbon put on, and then we're going to mat on the outside. Any of the waterfalls or additional items that I added, the flips or flaps that I added to this book, I added after I matted the pages. So what am I doing? Oh my goodness, I'm completely on the wrong spot. Oh goodness. You probably were all screaming at me going, move it over, you're not in the right spot. I just envy those crafters that make that matting look so easy. It takes me so long to try to get it down exactly where I want it. But so I apologize. If you want to skip through this on the video portion, you can go right ahead and do that. I will not be offended. So this one also is 6.5 by 9, so our matting is going to be 6 1/4 by 8 3/4. Got this one, and this one is the 6-inch one, so our matting is going to be 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. And the glue that I'm using is art glitter glue, and you can also get that at Country Craft Creations. Depending upon where you live and the temperature and the weather, this cannot be shipped if it goes down to 40 degrees or below, because it does freeze, and when it does freeze, it then does not, it gets real watery and runny, and it does not come back from that. So it's only shipped at times when it is not that cold. Some vendors will ship it, like on Amazon, but it will ruin the glue, so I would suggest not to do that. And this on our spine here is 3/4 of an inch by 8 3/4. So now we've got the inside done. Let's go ahead and do our outside. What I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to do a couple of these. I'm going to do this and our 2 spines, and then we'll get our ribbon put onto our booklet. If you kind of have a plan for what you want to do with your folio and the matting and everything, this honestly can come together very quickly, because I will tell you the truth, I am not a fast crafter, and I think you guys know that, But this has come together very quickly for me. The one thing that took me longer was because I did a lot of double matting, but that was only because I thought it would give it more strength and be a little bit more sturdy. And I like the look of something being double matted. So we actually are going to be taking our ribbon on this back portion and the front portion so that it wraps all the way around. So I'm going to put this piece on, and this piece here is our 5 3/4 by 8 3/4, and we're going to fit that, and then we'll get our ribbon out. Now you are welcome to put this on with score tape if you like. I like to use my art glitter glue. I just try to make sure that I'm not heavy-handed with it. If this was a mini album and not the cardstock folio, I probably would use my score tape for my matting for the base, because on that cover I like the way that it looks very, very flat and clean. But for this works just as well. So we've got our folio put together like this. Oops, like this. Turn it around. This is our front cover and our back cover. So what we're going to do is put our ribbon there and the ribbon coming from the back here so that we can tie it up to the top. So the first thing that I usually do is I take my cover and I match up 9. It's 4.5 right there. Just put my pencil marks in here so I can see that. And then I'm going to use my score tape. I like to use score tape for this. And I don't like to put it too close to the end because of the matting and the papers. I don't want to put pressure on those mats. So I'm going to be using this same ribbon that I had before, and I cut this about a little longer than 18 inches. Where's my scissors? Probably closer to 20 inches. And this ribbon I also got at Country Craft Creations, and so you can check with Tammy to see if that's still in stock. But she always carries a lot of different really pretty ribbons. So I'm going to take that off. I'm going to put my right down on the score tape. The other thing that I like to do is I like to take a piece of the score tape and put it over the top of the ribbon. Now, I can't tell you that it always makes a difference. I just feel like it makes a difference to kind of give it a little bit more hold, but I'm not saying it's proven that it works. It's just what I like to do. So then we're going to come around here, and we've got this section. So like 12. Got that ready. The only benefit of doing it the other way was I I did get a chance to do almost the whole folio before I had the ribbons on there, and that's always kind of nice so that you don't have the ribbons hanging around too much. So, but it works. Who else is a messy crafter? I just have everything that lays down on the table right next to me. Even though I have bins to put them back in, I always seem to just have them laying on the table next to me. But I am getting better at trying to pick up after myself. So when I'm done with an evening of crafting, I'm trying to put my tools away and kind of fix my desk up so that it looks a little bit more organized the next day when I come to work on things. I'm a work in progress. All right. Put that down there. We'll take one more piece of score tape and we will put our score tape away. How many of you have got those score tape towers? I know Tammy was selling those. I don't know if she still has them in stock, but they're a tower that you can put all your score tape rolls on. I haven't gotten one, but I think in some ways it might be pretty nice. The other thing that we're going to do when we're done, I'm going to dovetail the ends of these rather than making it to a point, but I always use, if I don't do the buttons on the bottom of the ribbon, you know, the little round dots with the glossy accents on them, I do put, what's it called? Fray check. I do put fray check on the end of my ribbons to make them last a little bit longer. So, alrighty. So we've got two more sections that we need to cover with our matting, and let's go ahead and do that. So we want to take this score tape cover off and get some glue on our sheets. The other thing that I did was when I did my folio the last time, there was some different sizes that I wanted to do for the matting and for the flaps. And I actually found that I think that I'm going to go back to doing them a little bit more standard sized, meaning, oh shoot, will that come off? Meaning, like I might have done a flap at 5.5 or 6 1/4 or something, and I think I'm going to try to stick with them to be an even 6 or under 6 so that I can get a little bit more out of my 12 by 12 paper. See, I didn't even do very good there. Oh well. Creative opportunities as we go, right? I always find when I dry fit and I lay my mats down, they look amazing and I do such a good job. And then once I get the glue on, I don't seem to get them to lay down as well. There we go. Pretty good with that. So that's our folio double matted, and we've got our ribbons right there. So the next thing that we're going to go ahead to do is we are going to go ahead and start making page 1. And what we're going to do, we're going to make a pocket here, and then we are going to do the flaps So we're going to do a pocket, And, ooh, and we are going to do these flaps that stack right on top of each other. So they're not a waterfall, but they're really a stack of flaps. And there is, I think there's 4, or is there 3? There's 4. So I have 4 flaps here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to cut all of these up so that you don't have to sit and watch me cut them all up. And in this book, let me see how wide I have those made, because then you can get yours cut right away too. I have these 4.25, so 4 and so this is 4 1/4 by, well, 6 1/4, but really it's 6 3/4 because of the flap in here. So I'm wondering, I'm going to try out to see if we can do a flap that is 6 by 4. I'm going to do a clean 6 by 4, and I'm going to see how it fits on the page and what it looks like, and see if we can save some paper rather than cutting so many strips like that. But I will get this ready, and this pocket as well is I think it's 6 and it's would be 7 1/4 because we need 1 inch on both sides for the pocket. And then we're going to need this is 3 1/2 is the height. So that's our measurements for those pockets. And I'll be back as soon as we can get this put in, and we'll get moving on that. And I'll get some of the other items that are need to be cut out. And I think I'm going to try to get this done right away too. So with this, I'm going to do and cut any of these that are need to be put down. But see, I matted the pattern paper then over these pockets. So I didn't mat with the pattern paper till I was done with all of these. So, alrighty, I will see you in a little bit. I'm sure it'll seem quicker to you than to me. See you in a little bit. Bye. Hello, crafters. Okay, I am back, and we are going to be working on the inside of the front page. Is going to be the first thing that we're going to be doing. So what I have here is I cut the pocket, and the pocket from end to end is 7 1/4, and from end to end here it's 3 1/4. I'm sorry, 3 3/4, and then it's scored at 1/2 inch on both sides and at the bottom. And then when we put this down, it's going to go down like this, and just a little bit shy of our fold on here. And we're going to go ahead and we will mat this as well. I didn't cut the mat for this, but we will get that done too. So let's just get this put in real quick. And when I do my pockets, I like to make sure that this piece, maybe not that much glue, but the bottom piece stays to the outside of these side pieces. So I've mitered those edges and trying to keep that, because it helps to get flaps, or not flaps, but ephemera into the pocket, so that it's helps it to slide in rather than stopping or abutting against it. So I'm going to go ahead and measure this right up to the side. I lost my really nice bone folder and I don't know what I did with it. I don't know how it could have gone anywhere else than on this table somewhere. I have this other one that is supposed to be Teflon, but I don't really like it. It's very heavy and clunky and just doesn't move as smoothly as my other one did. So, all right. So what we're going to do then is we're going to go ahead and this is just shy of 6.5. So it's actually probably 6 3/8 by, oh, this is probably 3 1/8. I don't think I measured it, or 3 1/4. So I'm going to do a mat that is 3 by 5 7/8. 3. Let's see if I've got anything left over here. I think I do. So let's do that 3 by, what did I say, 5 7/8? Let's see how that works. Ooh, not good. 5 7/8, 6. What am I doing wrong here? Ugh, 6 1/4. Let me see. See what I mean? Sometimes I can be so far off. Not happy with that. Sorry. I'm going to do this my old-fashioned way. Where's my pencil? Because I'm not getting the right measurement. So I'm going to do it the way I know how to do it best. And that is my pencil marks. Sorry about this. I'll have it for you just a second. There we go. That's much better. Much better, much better. So we're going to mat everything or get everything in, and then I was going to work on the matting for the on top of the green. So we are probably going to have 3 separate tutorials just to finish putting things together, and then also matting everything. So while I was off camera, I also got my flaps ready for going up here, that we are going to be putting on this side. But I want to tell you I made a mistake. I got them all matted. I was so excited. I got them on the backs matted as well. But I should have matted the front but not the back, because we are going to be gluing them together like this. And not that it's a terrible thing, but when you open this up, you're going to see the flap in there. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do to fix that, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So don't do that on yours. Let me make the mistake and you can do well with it. So what you're going to need is 8 flaps, and you are going to cut your flap is 6 inches by 4 inches. And then you are going to score at 1/2 of an inch on the 4-inch side. So 8 6 by 4, then score 1/2 of an inch on this side to make the flap. And so then your space here, once you're done with the scoring, is 5.5 by 4. So our matting then is going to be, our green matting is 5.25 by 3 3/4. Now, my suggestion would be is to go ahead and mat the fronts of every one of the flaps while they're not put together, and then cover the inside flaps once you have them all glued into the book. So I am going to go ahead and do what I told you just not to do because I want them to be consistent with what I've been doing. So we're going to glue this down on this flap and just leave a border around. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this down too, because all my other ones are that way as well. So I may even think about putting pattern paper on the back to cover that up, because I have a lot of pattern paper with this collection. So just don't make the mistake that I did. Wait to cover the back of your flaps when you get them all adhered. All right, the other thing is that you could do the flaps a different way if you did that by mistake. It's always something that can be done. So with these flaps, I am going to take all of these flaps and put the flap on top of the next. Just like this. And so that I know that they match end to end, side to side, and then I get my clothespins and I put that down through here, and I come in then and I put my glue in the middle of this and glue them all down, just not the bottom one I don't do. So then I come along and I put them all together like this. Once again, just making sure they're all even. And I'll put that clothespin back on there. And then I've got these 4. Do the same thing with them. Match them all up. And sometimes they can be a little bit off, just in the way of your cutting. But just make them, you know, on this end can be a little bit off more so than on the other end is better for it. Alrighty. that and just move this around to here. And then I'm going to go back to this one. And I'm just going to go in here and check. See, it doesn't look that bad, just not ideal. Let's make sure I have everything glued down. And then what I'm going to do is, I did not do this in my book before, but I think it's a good rule of thumb to miter these. The reason why is because they kind of stuck out at the top where the pattern paper was, and I didn't really like the look of that. So I think that it's a good idea to miter. Looks like I got one off here, just slightly. Hold that down. So I'll go and miter the corners on this too, so that I don't have them sticking out from my underneath the pattern paper. I just remember thinking that it would have been nice if I had mitered those underneath the pattern paper. So our easy assembly then is to remove all of our flaps, and we are going to attach these on either side. But to do that, I'm turning this all around, make it a little bit easier on me, and I'm going to go ahead. This is really difficult to see for me and you, I'm sure. So I'm going to take man, oh man. This dark upon dark. You know, I've got another light. Hope that's not, doesn't cast too bad of a shadow for you. I apologize if it does. That's right where we're going to put them. I'm going to put them just slightly off of the top. So all we need to do is add our glue down here. And then fit this down to the edge of our book as even as possible, and up here as even as possible. And then we've got that side in. All right. Then we've got this side. Gosh, I hope that that light is okay. Sorry if it isn't. I need to get some better lighting in my craft room because I don't have very good lighting in here altogether. Now the biggest thing is you want to be very careful in keeping this away from the folding edge, just slightly folding away, or at least so that it's even and thick, you know, right, sits right on there. So we've got that in, and that looks good. So what we're going to do here is put our flaps down. They are a little bit off, and I don't know. You know, as hard as I try, sometimes they still get off a little bit. But what I usually try to do is, if they're a little bit off, I usually take this, the wider one, and put that onto the top. And once we've got that done, this should look very finished, and we're going to also have a book in here that's going to hold that down, so that'll be fine as well. And the next section that we're going to work on is our middle section, this middle section and this section. And once we get those done, then we can start putting the paper down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this for the next tutorial, and I'm going to get everything cut out, and I'll get this pretty much put together so that, not put together, but ready so we can go a little bit faster. And if we don't take too much time, I'll try to finish it up in the next tutorial. So see if we can get that ready. But thanks so much for your time, and I really look forward to getting our booklet done. And I hope that you're enjoying the process as well. If you have any comments or questions or anything that you would like to know about this project, please just leave it down in the comments. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. It's always a good kind of a marketing technique for our channels when people share out our channels to their friends if they like the project. So thanks so much. Have a great night. Bye.